Want to call this meeting to order at 6:06. I apologize, we are 6 minutes late. We were meeting in an exempt session earlier, and it took a little bit longer than we thought. So with that, I would like to ask everyone to rise for the colors.
Forward, march. Hold. Order. Colors. Left. Face. Carry. Colors. Breathe in. Colors. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Here. Colors. Order. Colors. Right. Face. Forward. March.
You may be seated. I want to thank the Todd Beamer High School JRTC for those colors tonight. I'm looking for,
Roll call.
oh, I forgot roll call. No wonder I was missing. All righty, I'm going to start with on to my left, and we have a couple new folks on our board tonight. I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and then you'll hear a little bit more from them later. And I'm going to start to my left.
Jamie Appleton, Scholar Representative to the Board.
Where are you at school?
Thomas Jefferson.
All right.
Hiroshiato, Director, District 5.
Jeffrey McAnalloy, Director, District 1.
Claire Wilson, Director, District 2.
Carol Gregory, Director, District 4.
Tammy Campbell, Superintendent.
Logan Fraser, Scholar Representative to the Board, Federal Way High School.
Awesome. All right, looking for approval of tonight's agenda.
I move that the Board of Education approve the meeting agenda of September 11th, 2018 as submitted.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Sorry about that. It's like, woo. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Looking for approval of the required approvals agenda?
I move that the Board of Education approve the required approvals agenda of September 11th, 2018 as submitted.
Is there a second?
I second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Introduction of new administrative staff. Dr. Campbell.
At this time, I'd like to have Whitney Chang come up to the podium, and she'll be introducing some of our new staff. Some new, not new to the district, but in new roles, and some new to the district and new to their roles. We've got a great team. Whitney, go ahead and take it away.
Good evening, Board President Claire Wilson, members of the Board, and Superintendent Dr. Campbell. It is my pleasure to introduce new administrative and assistant principal leadership to the team at Federal Way Public Schools for the 2018-19 school year. Our administrators have chosen Federal Way Public Schools to offer their experiences and talents and to offer their leadership expertise. I am pleased to share the appointment of Learning Improvement Officer for the 2018-19 school year. Dr. Sean Clayton is serving as the Learning Improvement Officer for Area 2 schools for Federal Way Public Schools. Previously, he served for over 20 years in Chicago Public Schools, where he held various leadership roles, including principal and assistant principal. During that time, he assembled a data analysis team to improve learning outcomes in reading and mathematics, as well as established and maintained a safe school environment through the development of both security and emergency management plans. Sean earned a master's degree in teaching and learning from DePaul University, a master's in educational administration from Governors State University, and a doctorate in educational leadership from Chicago State University. Please join me in congratulating Dr. Sean Clayton.
Good evening, Board President Wilson, members of the board, and Superintendent Dr. Campbell. I'm truly thankful to be a part of this administrative team here at Federal Way. The commitment that this board has towards its future is both commendable and noteworthy. I've learned that this district is a place that never sleeps until every scholar reaches the pinnacle of his or her potential. And for these reasons, I'm super excited to be here and serve the Federal Way community. Thank you.
I am pleased to share the appointment of Learning Improvement Officer for the 2018-19 school year. Diane Ellis is serving as Learning Improvement Officer for Area 3 schools for Federal Way Public Schools. She has more than 9 years of building leadership experience, including her most recent role as principal of Meredith Hill Elementary and Federal Way Public Schools for the past 2 years. Prior to that, Diane served as principal of Pine Tree Elementary and assistant principal at Scenic Hill Elementary, both in Kent School District. Diane earned a master's degree in education in curriculum and instruction from Portland State University. Please join me in congratulating Diane Ellis.
Good evening, Board President Wilson, members of the board, and Superintendent Dr. Campbell. I am honored to serve as the Learning Improvement Officer for Area 3, carrying forward the work of supporting principals and schools in aligning their school improvement efforts to our strategic plan to greatly impact the lives of our scholars. I believe it is our moral imperative to do whatever it takes to ensure our scholars realize their voice, their dream, and their bright future, and I'm privileged and honored to be a part of this work. Thank you very much.
I am pleased to share the appointment of the Executive Director of Human Resources for the 2018-19 school year. Elisa Desart currently serves as Executive Director of Human Resources for Federal Way Public Schools. In this position, she is responsible for the direct oversight of leadership development, evaluations, and the Grow Your Own Teacher Pipeline initiative. Previously, she served in Federal Way Public Schools as principal of Sherwood Forest Elementary for 5 years. Prior to that, Elisa held leadership roles as principal and assistant principal at Westmont Elementary in the Anaheim Elementary School District in Anaheim, California. Elisa received a master's degree in education and administration and principal certification from Pepperdine University. Please join me in congratulating Elisa Desart.
Good evening, Board President Wilson, members of the board, and Superintendent Dr. Tammy Campbell. I am thrilled about this new opportunity to offer my experiences to live out our theory of action at the district level. I look forward to supporting and building the instructional leadership capacity of our school administrators as they grow their teachers' instructional practices in service of our student scholars. I'm also excited to work alongside our leadership improvement officers to grow teachers, deans, and additional certificated support staff into our future transformational and instruction leaders through our Leadership Academy. Thank you.
I am pleased to share the appointment of the Secondary Student Support Services Director for the 2018-19 school year. Julie Moore is serving as the Secondary Student Support Services Director for Federal Way Public Schools. Julie most recently held the role of Assistant Director for Inclusive Education for Kent School District. Prior to that, she served as the Inclusive Education Program Specialist also in Kent School District. Julie received her principal certification and a master's in special education from Eastern Washington University. Please join me in congratulating Julie Moore.
Good evening, Board President Wilson, members of the board, and Superintendent Dr. Campbell. I am thrilled to be part of a district with such a clear commitment to improving outcomes for all students, scholars. I'm looking forward to more of the ongoing continuous collaboration that I've experienced thus far since coming on board. It truly is amazing, and I'm excited to be a part of that commitment of improving outcomes for all scholars.
I am pleased to share the appointment of the Assistant Director of Student Support Services for the 2018-19 school year. Misty Peterson is serving as the Assistant Director of Student Support Services for Federal Way Public Schools. Misty has more than 10 years of experience in special education, including her most recent position as Program Behavior Specialist and intern in Kent School District. Prior to that, she served as a special education teacher, also in Kent School District. Misty earned a Master's in Education and Curriculum and Instruction from Northern Arizona University, a program and principal credentials from the University of Washington. Please join me in congratulating Misty Peterson.
Good evening, Board President Wilson, members of the board, and Superintendent Dr. Campbell. I want to express my deep gratitude for this opportunity to serve as Assistant Director in Student Support Services. I am committed to leading and supporting the goals outlined in our strategic plan and will strive to ensure that all scholars have a voice, a dream, and a bright future. Thank you.
I am pleased to share the appointment of the Principal on Special Assignment for the Phase 2 bond projects for the 2018-19 school year. Michael Swartz is serving as Principal on Special Assignment for the Phase 2 bond projects for Federal Way Public Schools. Prior to his current role, Michael served as the Principal of Wildwood Elementary and Federal Way Public Schools for 8 years. Other previous roles include Assistant Principal of Toda Middle School and Federal Way Public Schools and Assistant Principal of South Sound High School in Lacey, Washington. Michael holds a master's degree in Education Administration from Central Washington University. Please join me in congratulating Michael Swartz.
Good evening, Board President Wilson, members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Campbell. I couldn't be more excited for this role working with capital projects and working with the Phase 2 bond projects. It's already been an opportunity for me to grow and learn as a principal and as a leader. And I've learned a tremendous amount about building schools and working with architects and project managers. I look forward to continuing this process and seeing these schools built and filled with our wonderful scholars. Thank you for this opportunity.
I am pleased to share the appointment of the Assistant Principal of Adelaide Elementary for the 2018-19 school year. Barry Fisk is the Assistant Principal at Adelaide Elementary for Federal Way Public Schools. Previously, Barry was an administrative intern at Sacagawea Elementary in Seattle School District. In addition, he held roles such as Math Instruction Specialist and Career Ladder Teacher, also in Seattle School District. Barry earned a Master's in Educational Administration from Western Washington University. He holds a Principal Certificate and an Early to Middle Childhood Reading Language Arts Certificate. Please join me in congratulating Barry Fisk.
Good evening, Board President Wilson, members of the board, and Superintendent Dr. Campbell. I would like to thank you for the opportunity to support the academic and social emotional growth of the amazing young scholars of Adelaide Elementary, and I look forward to working in partnership with the families, community, and staff members to meet the needs of our diverse group of learners. Thank you.
All right, thank you so very much, and welcome to Federal Way. We're happy to have you be part of Team Federal Way. Thanks so much, and thanks for spending your evening, part of your evening with us. All right, next on the agenda, some of you might be here for something called Good News Announcements. So I'm coming down, and I will let Director McAnally take it over.
So the Federal Way High School boys baseball team has placed third in the spring 2018 state tournament. This effort is in direct support of Goal 3 of our strategic plan active learners, engaged, empowered, critical thinkers. Would the following scholar athletes please come forward to be recognized? Carter Berry, Garrett Morris, Jack Arsenian, Alex Bradshaw, Noah Pulowski, Abel Gonzalez, Jaylon Proctor, Cole Baker, Brandon Ponce, Julian Martinez, Joshua Mears, Adam Taylor, Mark Wright, Tyler Hoft, Caden Kirschenbaum, and Jacob Rice. Any other administrators, including head coach Arlo Evasic and coach Ron Sherwin, are welcome to come forward at this time. Congratulations on this great accomplishment team. Let's do it again this next year.
Way to go, Eagles.
This summer, Thomas Jefferson High School scholars represented Federal Way in Buffalo, New York at the 48th Annual Mu Alpha Theta National Math Contest. This week-long event brought together the nation's top high school math teams to compete in a series of individual and group tests. Out of the 50 top teams that competed from across the nation, yeah, that's right, Thomas Jefferson finished 7th in the nation for the overall sweepstakes award. This year marks the 24th consecutive year that Thomas Jefferson has placed among the top 10 schools in the nation. Scholar Nick Kim was the national champion in trigonometry.
Wow.
This legacy of excellence is in direct support of the district's strategic goal for content area competence, mastery of all subjects. The following scholars are here to be recognized. Zach Botts. Richard Chung. Gaurav Goda. Pierce Hansen. Amy Holden. Michelle Kim. Andrew Monk. Henry Ajiburu. Julia Sheets. Jillian Sue. Sam Spillers. Hakeem Shibley. Andrew Tang. Kelly Dillard. Abby Hyde. Jared Hoover. Austin Kim. Kayla Kimura. Nick Kim. Simon Lee. Ryan Lee. Jared Tran. Angela Yu. Zoe Aquino. Anthea Brown. Sarah Guest. Salvador Hernandez. Cade Homfeld. Joshua Jung. Aiden Nari Anan. Jacob Norris. Jillian Norris. Lukman Shibli. Mantak Singh. Dylan Scott. Brandon Truong. Bailey Wolf. And Shua Yu. Math coach Tom Norris and team members, please come forward and join your team. Congratulations to everyone. Great work.
So while we line up for a picture, what you need to know about Tom Norris and James Brown and some of the coaches of math at TJ, they've come to me about starting math teams in every one of our elementary schools. And so they want to have this growing all across the district, not just as Raiders, but across the district. And I appreciate your leadership, James and Tom Clymer. So many of you have been working on that. So I want to just give you some props for that as well. Way to go, Raiders. Thank you, Tom.
We would like to thank our community partners for their generosity in helping collect over 4,049 pounds excuse me, of donated school supplies, including backpacks, for the Fill the Canoe School Supply Drive. This is in support of Strategic Plan Goal 3 to help each scholar be an engaged, empowered critical thinker. We'd like to recognize the following partners for helping to organize the effort and their support. Bridget O'Connor, Red Canoe Credit Union. Tracy Oster, Communities and Schools of Federal Way. Shelley Pauls, We Love Our City. Captain Jeff Bellenhausen, South King Fire and Rescue. Linda Monahan, Grace Church. Thanks to these partners and individuals who donated their time, money, and/or supplies to make this year's school supply drive a big success. Congratulations. Stephanie Jacobs, Grace Church. Yes, I know they were. I know there were two. I walked in with them.
Thank you.
All right, next up, legislative liaison update. Carol Gregory.
Just a couple quick things. One, I'm sure that you recognize from watching contract negotiations throughout the state that McCleary is not a fine-tooth plan, and that the amount of money school districts receive and the disparities are really beginning to show up. We will be working on that because we're one of the disparate school districts that really need to have a different type of support from the legislature. And we will begin that work with a meeting of the State School Directors Legislative Group next week. So we'll have more to tell then.
Thank you. Next up on the agenda is the board director vacancy timeline, and as you may be aware, a couple of weeks ago, we had to tender the resignation of Director Mildred Olay, and are in the process of needing to refill that with the policy as it is in our governance processes. I'm not thinking very straight tonight. And so, board directors, what you have in front of you is the vacancy application process, which includes just the basic process as we've typically done it. A different thing that you'll see, or some highlights, are we are creating an opportunity on the 25th of September for an informational session for any folks that might be interested in applying or have applied, in order for them to understand a little more deeply the role of a board director and the commitments, because we felt like that was an important way of perhaps answering questions and getting a larger pool of candidates that may apply. The other thing I would say is if any board members have ideas of places where we may want to advertise the fact that we have a board position open, please feel free to share that with me or with Superintendent Campbell, because the goal is to broaden and make sure that our largest constituents in our community are aware that this position is open, although one does have to live within the director district that is open, and that is District 3.
And our communications team has a communications plan to post this in the Mirror on Facebook. Whitney, in fact, shared it with me today to try to get it out far and wide.
Awesome, awesome. So
And the website.
so I would ask if there's any conversation, any questions on the information that's presented, as well as I'm looking for an approval and a motion to approve the timeline for the board vacancy.
I move that the Board of Education approve the board vacancy timeline as submitted.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion?
I just want
go
to point out, that there was some conversation a year ago when this happened that we didn't give enough time. So we've added additional time, giving it more time and a couple more weeks for people to apply. So we'll see if we get more than 3 applicants this time.
Thank you. That's what I was going to also share, but it was this idea that we wanted to do our due diligence in making sure that we communicated that opportunity out there. I will say, once it's voted on, you will find it on the district website by tomorrow morning, as well as in other communications and in other opportunities in the district and throughout. So if you have any questions, you could get a hold of folks at the district level. So with that, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Looking forward to having folks in that district area apply. Thank you. Next up is public comment, and right now I have one blue sheet, and if anyone else has anything to share, please come forward. Gary Robertson, we have not seen you since the beginning of the school year. Welcome, welcome. Come on up.
Same song. 50th verse.
Good evening, Board President Claire Wilson, board members, and Superintendent Dr. Campbell. My name is Gary Robertson. I'm a substitute paraeducator, and as I've said many times before, I'm a strong advocate for teachers and paraeducators. Tonight, I have what I call my good news announcement. Okay, if you recall, goes back a couple of years, just after Dr. Campbell was appointed our superintendent. She made a announcement before the board, because I was at that board meeting, where she identified a major problem in our district, and that was teacher retention. And she pointed out very clearly that our teachers could leave our district and go to neighboring districts where they could be paid $10,000 or more.
I'm glad you remember this, Gary. I've been saying this for a while, but thank you.
Yeah. But the good news now is she can check the block, mission accomplished. As over the past 2 years, school years, our teachers have received almost a 23% pay increase. What that means is a starting teacher's salary is now $55,000. The average teacher's salary is almost $80,000. And a teacher with 15 years of experience and an advanced degree can make over $100,000, which is what they truly deserve. So this pay increase probably is larger than most districts in the state, because I remember Kent and Seattle only got 10%, if not the largest. And I was told over 90% of our teachers approved the contract. And that's amazing. But it shows you how much they appreciate what's being done for them. So the question is, how did Dr. Campbell, given the fact that our district has been shortchanged by the legislature for over 40 years, accomplish this? Well, I do not know. But what I do know is there's 3 other neighboring districts in our state, like Federal Way, and who were shortchanged by the legislature, and their teachers are out on strike. And that's not good. So what this proves conclusively is that Dr. Campbell is a leader who we can trust and respect to go the extra mile. And so I'd like to take this opportunity to express my appreciation to not only Dr. Campbell, but to her Director of Human Resources, David Brower, for the outstanding job they did and for doing the right thing by resolving this issue in a timely manner. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Robertson. As always, eloquent words. Thank you so much. And we would agree. Next up is Scholar Representative School Reports. And as I mentioned earlier, we have 2 new Scholar Reps on our board. We have Logan to my right and we have Jamie to my left. And they are going to give their first reports tonight. And Dr. Campbell, is there anything you want to say before we launch them off?
Well, I will say that these 2 folks, I've had the opportunity to work with these scholars over the last few years as they are members of the Scholar Advisory to the Superintendent. And what you need to know to be a representative on the board, to even be considered, they have to be very diligent in getting their reports in on what's happening with their schools. Both of these scholars are almost perfect in getting those reports in, and they care passionately about the district. And if you go to events at their schools or around the district, you'll see them as leaders, not just here, not just on the advisory, but they lead in their schools. And so I couldn't be more excited to have them to join the team and to give us your perspective, and by extension, the perspectives of the 50-plus scholars who are on the advisory to the superintendent. So, welcome.
Awesome. All righty, I am going to start to my left. Jamie, go for it.
Good evening. My name is Jamie Appleton, and I'm excited to have this wonderful opportunity to serve as a scholar representative on the school board. This position is incredibly important for our school district as it opens doors of communication between scholars and administrators. I hope to provide the board with meaningful insight into the opinions, ideas, and struggles of scholars to aid decision-making. The start of a new school year offers the ability to make changes that are beneficial to all scholars. I have not had the opportunity to hear from schools other than my own, but from what I have observed at TJ, teachers are seeking to make all scholars feel safe and supported. Additionally, I have ascertained that quite a few classes are overflowing, and the counselors and administrators are working hard to even out class sizes. Again, I look forward to working with the board to ensure that the scholars in our school district have a voice. Thank you.
Nicely done. Thank you. Logan, it's your turn.
Good evening, Superintendent Dr. Campbell, President Wilson, and other members of the board, and good evening to everyone in this room. My name is Logan Fraser, and it is such a privilege to work alongside the school board and superintendent, whom have made me feel as though I am considered an equally valued member of education for every step leading up to this moment, and have given me an opportunity to share my voice with all you extraordinary people. The very people who have taken time out of your day to show your support for this community and the rising of a new group of aspiring youth. Everyone here is a symbol of progress toward the fruition of bright futures, and I want to use the time that I have at this podium today to sincerely thank you for all your hours of commitment. Being a scholar representative to the board means that I've made a promise that I will make good use of the gift given to me by every one of you. I've heard many times that us scholars must pave our own path. However, I would not know where to begin if it were not for those who paved the roads before me. Just by the atmosphere in my school, I am confident that this will be a successful year, and I hope to help as many people as I can feel the same way. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, that just makes me grin. Thank you so much, both of you, and we look forward to continuing conversations and getting your perspectives as we move forward this year, the board. Thank you so much for your commitment. We know it's a chunk of time. With that, superintendent comments. Dr. Campbell.
First of all, I want to say we get the opportunity to be in a field where we're responsible for people like Jamie and Logan. And there is something about it that it moves me because I want the legacy to be that we made a difference for you. And I just want to thank you. It's inspirational. And on those long days when things are hard, when we just are reminded about why we're here. And tell people, if there were no children, there would be no reason for us to be or to exist. So just thank you. I want to start out by thanking the bargaining team, both the district representatives as well as our teacher and association reps. We've been at this bargaining conversation specifically over the last 2 years, and I think we benefited from a really good relationship that was sort of fostered at the table. And so I will say to you, Gary, yes, you heard me say this around salaries, but every single one of these board members also, I couldn't have done that without the board's support, the board's vision around it, and the board's sponsorship of it. And we've had a board who is very committed to it, and our work around equity has told us that one of the most important investments we can make is in attracting and retaining high-quality teachers. And this board was committed to this idea of us no longer being the place where people would say, I can go someplace else and make more money. We're not the highest paid. That we couldn't have pulled that off, but I think we're more in the line of being competitive with our neighbors. And I want to thank Director Eto, Director McAnally, Wilson, and Gregory, because each of them were committed around this, and this was a team effort. That bargaining team, when I think of people like James Brown, Chuck, Shannon Rasmussen, Jamie Bortz, and I know I'm missing all kinds of other names, as well as our team, David, Sally, James, Dr. Pfeiffer, Jane, they bargain until the wee hours of the night. And at the end of the day, it's easy to do that when you have common interest. And our strategic plan and our goals, our work around equity, those were things that we had in common. And we also had in common that we wanted to create a compensation package that made Federal Way a place where people wanted to come and work and feel like they could have a living wage. And so we're pretty proud of that as a board superintendent team, as well as the bargaining team. Michael Swartz, another member of the team. And so if I forgot anybody, it's not oversight. I did not make a list. I just want you to know that it was truly a collaborative effort. I also want to say that the start of school has really gone smooth this year, and specifically transportation. Last year we had a lot of bumps with transportation, and in fact I think I was down at transportation trying to come up with solutions, and if that doesn't scare you, nothing will. But Michelle Turner and the team down there have really done a good job of getting clear about what the right routes are, and we did some practice runs at the beginning before school started that I think really helped us. And so I just want to thank transportation, and I also want to thank our principals. I want to thank our central office team for all the professional development that they did. We're going to have a back to school report where we'll give you an overview. But the principals and the staff who were excited and real clear about why the first day is important, the first few weeks of school, and so we're pretty excited about the way we were able to launch our schools. I've been out to make some school visits to just see how things are going, looking for culture. Also, I will tell you to check in with your school over the next few weeks. We're going to have our open houses where each school will be providing you with an overview of how they are specifically addressing the safe learning environments at their school. They're going to be taking information from parents, but as well as providing you with sort of what they're doing at their specific school, because you can't really answer that at the district level. This is a local school level conversation, and every school will be doing it with a common presentation that we framed up with feedback from principals. I will be unveiling our new graduation rate. I will tell you that it is higher than it was last year, which means that we've yet again inched to an area that we've never had in terms of our graduation numbers. I'll be sharing that in the coming weeks. I just want to be sure we've got the last person accounted for, but I will say we're pretty excited about that. And the last thing that two things I want to thank the cabinet. I've got a cabinet and a leadership team that's pretty all in, and I want you to stand up right now, and I want you to stand up wherever you are. Cabinet, Carrie, Dr. Pfeiffer, every single one of these people, they work. When Dr. Clayton said that there is no rest, they don't rest. I'm sure that sometimes that I drive them nuts, but they really are committed to the scholars. And I will tell you, I couldn't do the work without the team. And you give me strength to really execute, and I want to thank each and every one of you. And I feel like we're blessed to have you. So thank you, and thank you for a successful launch of schools. Thank you very much. In the last little bit of trivia, I was visiting a website that Paul Ross told me about, and when I first heard about this website, I was like, let's see what this website's all about. But as it turns out, we talk about we are the #1 diverse district in the state of Washington. But do you know what we learned? We're the 5th most diverse district in the United States, in the nation, Federal Way. And I was just blown away by that. And I think that diversity is our strength. And it is something that we have to be proud about. On this website, it talked about our college and career readiness grade as a B, a solid B in terms of what we do to get kids ready for those opportunities. And so I just want to acknowledge the fact that we are a treasure here in Federal Way, and our diversity is our strength. And Jeremy, you just missed me mentioning your name. You just missed it. I don't know if you heard me speaking about you and the great work of the bargaining team. So I just want to again say that our diversity is our strength, and we couldn't be more prouder of the place and context as Federal Way Public Schools. So thank you.
Alrighty, next up is school board comments, and I will start to my left with Director Etho.
Thank you. I'm really happy to see what the bargaining team came together on. It really meets a lot of the interests that we've sought in terms of getting good pay for starting teachers, and it's really nice to see that the union was also supportive of that. And we recognized all the volunteer folks that collect materials and supplies, and there were sacrifices made there as well by the teachers union to say that we want that to go to salaries for some of their members. So there was bargaining on both sides that we're trying to meet these interests, but at the same time, within the top level budgets that we've set by the board, we know that there's challenges ahead, and so there's a lot of work to be done by Dr. Campbell and her team. And insomnia is not a plan. So there's a lot of work to be done. It'd be nice to see some pressure put onto the state so that they truly fund public education, because right now it's underfunded. It doesn't meet all the interests that were cited at the last board meeting by the union in terms of counselors being overloaded, not having librarians, not having nurses, basically having a lot of folks trying to serve a lot of things and being basically a human Rolodex. So it's not working because the state's not funding it, but we're trying to do the best we can. I'm glad that we got this agreement done, and I hope to see it approved later today.
All right, Director McAnally.
So my first comments has to do with the administrative staff and every single one of you and what you commented about and being a scholar-centered focus piece. That is very important to me as we look at everything we're doing and continue to look at our achievement. Being the fifth most diverse district in the nation, I do believe is a rich piece, but it also does come with additional things that make it difficult to get through. And we must all come together to make sure that every single scholar, as we heard, can be successful and meet them right where they're at. Dr. Clayton, your quote will stick with me and resonate forever because it's exactly right, and I totally agree, and I'm glad you're here with us. Scholar representatives on the board, it took us 3 years to get there, but I'm glad you're here, and it's a big piece that I feel is important, that we must hear your scholar voice and make sure that you're a part of everything that we do. The bargaining piece, it's been part of my drive. We always kind of settled when I first started to be at the middle, right, as we look at what the middle is. And our salaries are now at the top third. And I bet that we are probably, if not in the top 10, not in the top 5, definitely the top 10 for starting salaries in this state, which I believe is a huge component and a huge piece. All I hope now is that we can move forward after we look at a almost 23% increase in 2 years, that we focus on our scholars. That's why we're all here, and making sure that we do everything from bell to bell to do everything we can to educate them in the 180 days that we have. Because that's why we're all here, and that's what we need to do, and that's my responsibility as a board member to make sure that happens. Totally agree with the salaries where they need to be. It's long overdue, or it needs to be, but I want to make sure that I don't continue to hear not a minute more, because now it's time to focus on our scholars to make sure that they can be successful, every single one of them, as they leave our doors in the K-12 system. Thank you.
Director Gregory.
Well, several of my comments about the contract have been stated, and I will make some more in a minute, but I know it's the beginning of the school year, not because someone in my house goes to school, but at 10:30 last night, the school bell went off. And so I know that starting school, there are some cracks in the dike, and I don't have Michael Schwartz to call up anymore and complain. But, you know, that's a minor issue. That's a minor issue. But from everything that I've heard, school has started well. Getting the contract behind us was incredibly important, and I look forward to zeroing in now on some more specific issues that we know need to be resolved in order to drive our success with our students. So I wish everybody the best of luck, and we'll all be working hard. Thank you.
I was going to say we were last together August 28th, and lots has happened since then. And I had comments on the 28th, and I said in my comments I had faith in our bargaining teams that they will continue to come together to create an agreement that meets the interests of all parties. And I said that I would continue to work on this legislatively to follow through and make sure that the legislature did its job to do its paramount duty to fully fund education equitably, regardless of zip code, regardless of where someone lives, regardless of what district that they're in. And I so appreciate the hard work of the teams and know that our work here may be done as we vote on this collective bargaining agreement, but the work is not done across the state because we have many folks that are still trying to figure out what it's going to look like. And we have districts that have put themselves into positions where as we move forward in the coming years, we're going to continue to struggle unless we come up with the solutions to the problems that have brought inequities in a system that was supposed to fix. So you fixed one thing on one end, but you created inequities on another end, and now we've got to go back and we've got to fix those as well. I also just wanted to say that there were a lot of firsts. It was the first day of school, but there's a lot of firsts. There's first days for kindergartners. There's kids moving from kindergarten to middle school. That's a big change. Middle school to high school is a big change. High school to college is a big change. First-year teachers, first-year principals, first-year assistant principals. There are parents who have their kids going to school for the first time. A lot of firsts happening, and as opposed to not hearing everything, I heard nothing. And when you hear nothing, that means that things are going well. Usually, it's only when things are not working well that you hear about it. But I have I guess I have the privilege in my neighborhood of being able to stand and watch kids walk to school and also get picked up on the bus and understand and see their excitement every single day. And am thrilled to be part of that. And I know their families are thrilled to be part of Federal Way Public Schools and are proud that we were able to come to an agreement and hopefully tonight move forward. So with that, I think the next thing up on our agenda is the action taken on FWA collective bargaining agreement, and I'm going to call on Director Gregory.
I move that the Board of Education approve the collective bargaining agreement between the Federal Way Education Association and the Federal Way Public Schools, number 210, effective September 1, 2018 through August 31, 2021, as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
I'd like to speak to my
Director
motion.
Gregory?
As we've all talked, this is a tough time to bargain for a lot of reasons, and one is the inequities that we are facing with the legislature. But I am incredibly impressed with some of the things in addition to the starting salary that are in our agreement, and also the fact that we have a 3-year agreement. That doesn't mean we don't have a lot to work on. That means that we can be more intensive now on those issues that affect our agreement that we still need to work on. For instance, the legislative piece. And I was very hopeful that we would not have to, after McCleary was decided and accepted by the Supreme Court. But unfortunately, equity is not part of this agreement, and that's something that we need to really think about. I was with a group of friends today, and they said, explain McCleary to us. And I thought, oh, yeah, right. They said, why are we having all these strikes? And so I started it. I didn't explain McCleary. I said, McCleary's not the issue. The issue is how it was implemented. And we don't believe it's correct yet. And so that's going to be a critical part. But I commend both the bargaining team for the union, and they're here, and I appreciate that, and for the school district for coming to an agreement that I think we can live with. It isn't what we all wanted in every way, but it's probably one of the more powerful that I've seen come out of this year. And for that, I congratulate everyone and urge your support.
Any other discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Next up is the FWA ESP collective bargaining agreement. I'm looking for a motion.
I move that the Board of Education approve the collective bargaining agreement between the Federal Way Education Association, Educational Support Professionals, and Federal Way Public Schools, number 210, effective September 1st, 2018 through August 31st, 2021, as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? I just wanted to mention on both of these, I think the thing that is the best is interest-based bargaining, where you've got mutual interests that you put together. And when you start at a place where you agree and then create deeper understanding, it brings you to a place of agreement much quicker than if you start at places where you're diametrically opposed. And have had interest and experience myself in interest-based bargaining, and I think the protocols and all that happens is really what moves us forward. So with that, any other discussion? And if not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Anything else for the good of the order?
Yeah, so just one thing I just noticed on our list. I thought we changed the work study to 4:30 so we can attend the educational summit. So it does say 5 o'clock. So just to make sure all board members know that the work study will start at 4:30 next week.
Yep.
So we can go to the,
You want to remind them what's going on
Right.
that day?
So we have a work study that on Tuesday that was scheduled for a 5 o'clock start time, And Representative Reeves is doing an educational forum for the 30th Legislative District, and in the interest of attending, we're moving the start time of work study to 4:30 so that we can end in time for folks who would like to attend the forum. And Carrie, if you would help us by sending us out just a reminder, that would be absolutely awesome. I know I'd appreciate it, and others might as well.
And just to make, board members, just to make sure you know, our focus for the work study is our self-assessment for last year. We've not completed that yet.
That's
so.
right, thank you.
Sure.
Thanks. All right, anything else for the good of the order? All right, we're calling it quits, 7 o'clock. Thanks for coming.